Now, if you don't want to go across and delete all filters, just to delete the filter on the one column, click on the drop down box and simply select clear filter from date. And to be honest, that's probably the best way that I would recommend for you to do it, because you don't want to get the 300 odd thousand records. It will just take a lot of time. Well, not a lot of time, but it'll just take a little bit of time to clear. Okay, now all of the other filtering is all reasonably simple. We've got some numbering filters and so forth there, but the other main feature I wanted to show you with filters, particularly in relation to a child's name. Now, we don't have any names in there, so that's it's not going to be too much help for us at the moment. And the other thing too, while I'm thinking of it, is you can also filter by blank. So let's imagine that Cameron's looking for some vacant spots that he wants to fill. You could go along and, or a customer has phoned up and said, look, my child would like to get in at a certain time. We could go along there and select any filter, well, particularly with the name, and just look for blanks, and it will show us all the ones that don't have a child's name next to a particular slot. So that's another option, is filtering for blanks. Okay. Now finally, with the filtering, particularly with the text filtering, so for the session type, or for the name, or for even a payment, we all know that the payment starts off with a hash symbol. If you could do some searches for those. But when you're doing your searches, another option that you can do is you could actually, let's imagine you were looking for the child's name, you could actually just click in the search option here, and it will start searching for the options based on what you start to type. So let's imagine, and I've just typed in AQ, and then it's just brought up the list of ones that start with AQ, and we could click on that and add it to the filter, and that would just show Aqua. So it's not of great use for the session type, but when we've got 600 children's names there, instead of clicking on the drop down list and scrolling down to 600 different names, you could actually just start typing a child's name, and then it will bring you up with all those different options. So if you just started typing the first 3 letters of a child's name, it would then give you the option to be able to simply look at that child's name. Okay, so that's pretty much it for filtering. What I'm going to do now is get on to some demonstrations, and then we'll wrap it up. So won't be a sec. Okay, so let's imagine we're going to look up a customer's name there. The mother has just come in and said, can you just tell me what we're paid up to, or anything like that. All we need to do is simply, now notice up the top that we don't have any filters on right now. If we click on the name button of this child, and then normally there would be 600 odd names here. Instead of scrolling down, you could actually just type in there the start of a name, and then you'll get to see just those names, and then just click OK, and then that'll in turn just show us the records for Macy Lane. Notice you can go and add extra filters to that. If you only want to look at the last 2 weeks, you could go and click on the dates, or if you wanted to look at when Macy paid or whatever, her last payment, you can do that as well. So that's how to look up a customer record. Alrighty, as an extension to the lookup of the customer name, let's imagine now that the customer would like to pay some more money. So what we would do there is we can look up the customer's details and see where their last payment, where they're paid up to. So basically Macy's paid up until the 10th of September. So what we would do now is we would need to firstly look up and determine that, and then what we would need to do is we would also need to look at what class Macy actually attends. So we can see here that Macy does a Learn to Swim class of a Friday in slot 1 at 8:30. So what we would do is we would then change the filter, because we only want to look at the actually firstly what we would do is we would remove the filter from the name, And then what we would do is we would look up Macy does a Friday class. So let's go straight and select, we only want to look at Fridays. We also know that Macy does Aqua Play, so we go and select Aqua Play. We also happen to know that Macy was with Coach A. So, sorry, not Aqua Play, Learn to Swim, sorry. And we also know that Macy is with Coach A in slot 1 at 8:30. So what we're doing now is we're looking up the records for that particular slot. Now, notice that it's showing Macy Lane details there. Now, we can see that Macy's paid up until the 10th of September. Okay, that's when she's due to be paying again. Now, obviously, as a rule of thumb, we only ever add the payment receipt into the first lesson sequence. So we can see there that that's where Macy is paid up until. So let's imagine that Macy's parents are paying for a 4-slot lesson. So we pop in the receipt number. Let's Learn to Swim. And she's paying, and her parents are paying for 4 payments. So then what we do is we enter the receipt number, the payment number into the field, and then we just go and put in the lesson sequence number. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then obviously on that 4th one, Macy would be due to pay again, so we can pop a to pay in there. And just to simply lock Macy's name into that slot 1 for the next 4 weeks, we highlight the class type and Macy's name, and we go to the bottom right hand corner of that and drag it down the 4 times. That easy. So Macy has now been added in to the Learn to Swim class all the way up until the 8th of October. She's paid up until the 8th of October. That easy. So then, if we were to simply go and have a look at, say, the 1st of October class, and we got rid of the slots, because we want to see the entire class that has been booked in for that class, for Coach A, we can see there that Macy's booked in. That will be her 3rd lesson of the group, of the lesson sequence, and she's booked in, ready to go. So you've still got the other vacant slots available there for the rest of the existing and hopefully some new students / customers as well. So that's how you add a new record into the system, and that's the same whether it be a brand new customer or whether or not it's going to be a existing customer. In the case of a brand new customer, we would just need to look at the class and determine. So if we went back now and looked at the classes for August, we could look at the whole of August. That gives us a feeling for what slots happen to be available. So normally slots 1 through to 4, if this was all completely updated, would be normally taken. So we could tell that slot 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 is available. So then we would just simply go and do exactly what I've done, but this time select slot number 5, and that's when we could add a new customer into the system and drag and drop their name down to the relevant cells. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, one final demonstration I'd like to show you here today is the procedure whereby a customer phones up. They'd just like to know when the next available class is, for example, Lillian. So if we wanted to do that, basically what we would do is we'd first go to our date field, and what we'd want to do is use one of those filters that I spoke about in a previous part of the tutorial, whereby we just go and simply say we want to look at all of the classes that are after today, for example. Now they've just told us that their child is in the Learn to Swim class with Lillian, so let's go and select the Learn to Swim class, and we happen to know that Lillian is Coach A. And this isn't a very good example, but then what we could do is we could then go and do a search on blanks, and that would then show us the available classes that have a vacant spot in it from right now onwards, or from tomorrow onwards. So we could then just go along and select a particular name and pop the customer's details in, and then go and update their record lesson sequence number and the fact that it's a makeup class or whatever the case may be. Alrighty, so that's about it. Now, one final thing that I just want to go over to is just through these demonstrations, I think it's going to be easier to have the filters on and then just turn them off individually. By doing that, what it's going to do, or not even turning them off, but just modifying them to what you need. So you might be in the office working away, you're working on the Learn to Swim classes or something like that, and you just need to change the coach over. So you need to go from Lillian to Brad. So by all means you could leave the other filters on, and then it's just going to change the records. Now that will make the system run a lot faster. So instead of starting by looking at 370,000 records, we already have that cut down to a smaller number of records, so we can just keep working our way through and modifying the filters that we have on, instead of clearing the filter and starting from scratch, because then the system will need to load the full amount of records that we have and then start from scratch again, whereas it would be quicker to simply go across and modify the dates or the classes or the coach or the child's name or whatever, one at a time. It'll be much quicker. Alrighty, so that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Hi there, it's Todd again. Look, I was just reviewing the tutorial, and there's one extra thing that I've thought of I wanted to just add in to the back end, and that concerns finding out vacant spots for either a new customer or for a makeup lesson. Now, what I was saying before was right, but I just wanted to add one extra caveat to that. So let's imagine a customer's rung up and said, look, I'd like to get my child in for Fridays,